Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm Lisa Michaels, and I have a very special guest for you today. Her name is Enid Rosa. She is not only a prosperity soul guide, she's also an intuitive spiritual coach. She's really got this gift for helping people discover what's underneath what they're experiencing and helping them clear it and align their path forward. So, welcome, Enid. I'm so happy to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to hear about is your own journey about connecting to your creation team. And for anybody who's listening who doesn't know what the creation team is, it is those eight core elemental astrological archetypes that make up who you are and how you express in the world. So how did that come about for you, Anid? Like what did you notice when you started working with them?
Well, I've been working with the astrological archetypes for a long time, and with you, Lisa, like since 2010. So I've been doing this for a long, long time. And they just opened me up. They allowed me to see my inner self, to connect with my soul, to connect with the different parts of myself, and also to understand how the archetypes are not only within me, but also outside of me. It showed me that I have a relationship with the archetypes,
Mm, mm,
a
mm.
relationship with the energy, and that I can co-create with it and also share it with others.
Yeah, yeah, which is beautiful. So when you started working with them, like what did you discover about yourself? Like just tell us a tiny bit about, like you don't have to give all of your creation team players, but like what's your inner feminine archetype and what's your inner masculine archetype?
My inner feminine is Gemini and my inner masculine is Sagittarius.
Woo.
But I've always worked from Cancer perspective because we are taught that you go by your sun sign. So I always looked at myself as a Cancer, as a water child. But then when I learned my chart, I see that I have Cancer placements in two other places. I have Cancer in my moon and Cancer
Mm.
in my Mercury. So that is how I view the world, through the Cancer lens, through the nurturing mother, through the water realm. And so I really tapped in when I lived in Puerto Rico because I was by the ocean. And so I was just like loving being by the ocean. I'm just like a water child. So that, learning the inner creation team showed me how I see the world, how I relate to people, what archetypes and what energies are influencing my decisions.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
uh, it's been a long, long journey.
Yeah, which is amazing. I mean, I've witnessed so many of the changes that you've gone through, which are really profound. Now, I want to speak about something because this is really, 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 really important. So you've got a Cancer inner, excuse me, a Gemini inner feminine, which is air, which is creativity, and then you've got this Sagittarius inner masculine, which is fire, and he likes to quest. So these two creativity air, questing kind of Sag masculine with a different communication style. Which is in Cancer water. If you had those two and you had a different communication style, let's say you had earth, that would completely ground those two. If you had more fire, that would like let's move this energy forward. But Cancer says, how can we apply this creativity and this questing to family, to community, to helping, and this is really important for what you do, I mean, for helping people to feel safe, to expand and have creative ideas in their own life. This is one of the gifts that you carry.
Yes. And it's interesting because until I learned that, Cancer was in the lead. And so I
Yeah.
was overgiving and oversharing and overdoing. And I
Ah,
also noticed that I do get a lot of ideas. I get a lot of fun ideas, which is my Gemini. I
yeah,
like to
yeah,
play,
yeah.
I like to do things fun. And then my Sag in Mars, it's like, go ahead, let's do all of it. Let's do all of it. Let's do all of it. And then I just get burnt out. And then Cancer's
Uh-huh,
like, okay, that's it. Enough.
uh-huh.
And then I get overwhelmed with too much emotion. So it's interesting that I can see where I'm going with certain things, if I'm leaning too much into fire, if I'm leaning too much into air, too much. So it's beautiful that we get to co-create and learn how to use these energies in our
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah, because honestly, without this knowledge, you're just like blindly going in whatever direction, you feel like is next important instead of really leaning into what is yours to create, what is your true self and your authentic nature.
Hmm.
Now, I know
Yes.
too, Anid, you are gifted with working with other people. And one of the things that you're really good at is helping people to kind of work with their archetypes in a unique way. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So I help women tap into their inner intuition so they can trust their inner voice with confidence. And sometimes with the elements, it's when you want to look at yourself and when you want to learn self-trust, you have to look inside. So you can use the elements to help you clear out some old beliefs that you have or clear out perceptions from society or expectations. You can learn how to give yourself permission to be who you are. You
Huge.
learn like self-trust and discernment and inner peace, right?
Mm,
Get
mm,
confidence and clarity in what you're
mm.
doing with your life. So it helps you understand yourself better
Yeah,
and it helps you learn how to understand your relationships, not
yeah,
only with your family and friends, your partners, but with society and how you show up in the world.
yeah. And that just makes a big difference for people, honestly and
Mhm.
deeply and truly a big difference. Now, I know water, because of all that cancer, is like super important to you. So tell me a little bit about why you think that's so important and why that matters so much to people in general.
Well, from my perspective, I think it's important to create a safe space for people
Mm,
to process their emotions, to be able to listen and hold and just acknowledge what people are going through. So, having that ability to do that, to nurture people and give them that safe space to move through the energy and without judgment, is really important because sometimes wear masks and we don't
yeah,
want to
yeah,
show who we truly are. So by
yeah,
letting yourself release that mask and show up as your authentic self is hard. And so that's a key thing when working with this energy because you get to put on your true self. You get to put on your authenticity and you build
yeah,
self-trust in
yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
It's important to have self-trust so that you know that you're making the healthy decisions for your own life and no one else
Right,
is influencing you.
right,
And it
right.
and then when you tap in, you get all this beautiful creation energy to help you do
Yeah,
whatever it is that you want to do and manifest the life that you want because you're co-creating and in alignment with your soul, with your intuition, with your energy. And so you're able to create and manifest and go with the flow instead of
yeah.
against it.
Yep, yep, yep. Beautiful. I want to point something out to everybody. If you listen, what Anita just said in the very beginning of what she was just talking about is I think it's really important to create a safe space. That is hearing an archetype speak. That was Cancer speaking. So, as you understand and uncover more about the archetypes, you start to literally hear when a particular archetype is talking. And that helps you, like just like Anaid said, in every relationship that you have, when you understand, your children's creation team or your partner's creation team or your anybody else that's significant in your life, it takes things from like this is a personality potential conflict to this is the way that the archetypes are different from each other. And when we understand that that is an archetype expressing through somebody, it helps alleviate some of the power struggles that we might have in relationships. But here's the important thing too, is that that power struggle also can be going on between archetypes inside of you. And that's not any fun. That is a real challenge. You want to talk about that for a second, Anid? Like how a internal power struggle impacts people?
Yes, because so many people are only focusing on their sun sign. They give the power only to the sun sign when we are made up of an alchemy of different energies, of different elements. So when you learn your team, you know who's talking to you and who's leading your life. And it could be the sun sign or it could be another archetype. And then you're like, wait a minute, this doesn't go with what this archetype is supposed to say. Where is this coming from? And it's
Right.
actually your other archetype trying to communicate with you or who's leading you, because it could be your divine feminine, it could be your divine masculine, it could be, any of the moon. Usually
Yeah.
it's the moon because we work from the moon all the time. The moon and the earth signs, right? And also the communication signs, the Mercury. But it's like a roadmap.
Yeah. It
It's
is
like
like
a
a roadmap.
roadmap.
Yeah.
And when you understand the map of your soul, you can give them all a voice and bring them together to co-create in a powerful way.
Yeah.
And sometimes you may need to ask other archetypes to help, especially if you don't have some archetypes
Yeah.
in your chart. If you don't have, because I only have one Earth in my archetype, but I happen to have it in my Jupiter, which is my fastest path to my ascending sign. So working with that archetype, which happens to be Virgo, which is excellent, which is why I do the work that I do, that learning that helped me anchor all the other archetypes to go where I'm supposed to go, to
Yes.
go
Mm.
towards my purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
learning the archetypes, learning the map of your soul, and then you can, once you learn it, then you could see how they work in other people. And then you're like, oh, that he's working or she's working from this perspective, this lens.
Yep. 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 So beautiful. And Virgo is so powerful. I mean, I have a lot of Virgo and I really appreciate that archetype. But my sun sign is Leo. I mean, if I hadn't recognized that I also have, and my inner feminine is Virgo, if I hadn't recognized that, I would have thought all my expression needed to be sort of Leo-ish, which would be way over too much fire for me. Way, 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 way over too much fire. I mean, I've got two different Leos, but it's still without that grounding of that Virgo. So I'm sure that really, really helps you a lot in a big way. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And it feels so empowering.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because the way she grounds things and
Mm-hmm.
Virgo's really gifted at holding sacred space. So what is unique about Anid is not only does she have sacred space that she holds with Virgo, but safe space she holds with Cancer. So you get this combination of safe and sacred space when you work with her. That's really beautiful, really, really beautiful. I don't have any Cancer, and maybe it would be helpful sometime. So that's a beautiful combination, I need, really, truly. So when you've got somebody who's facing a decision, and let's say somebody is like, do I do this for myself personally, or do I like learn how to do it to support others? Like, how would you, what would you recommend for how they determine which one of those to go? Do they want to just learn about their creation team personally, or do they want to actually, become a soul guide?
I think it's important that you learn a little bit about the archetypes um, like by getting the book or working with the oracle cards, because that way you can learn about them a little bit and then go into maybe get a reading so that you can experience it. Get a reading or a session with a soul guide so that you can experience it and have them introduce you to all of your team members and then go into the training.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
once you get turned on, once you get introduced, because these energies are alive. And so once you get introduced to them and you feel them working with a soul guide, you're going to want to continue to learn about this because it's going to open up a different avenue. You're going to build a
Yeah.
relationship with these energies.
Yeah, yeah, that relationship with the energies really makes a huge, huge, huge difference. Now, what's interesting too is as you are working with your creation team and discovering, let's say you decide to read the book, your soul prosperity code, and you're working with all of your archetypes, having a session with a soul guide, even if you like know all of your archetypes, can be extraordinarily helpful because one of the things that we do in the soul guide training, and one of the things that people who've worked with this energy a lot start to be able to do is help people with the alchemy of their team,
Mhm.
because knowing each one, tuning into each one is different than how do they all go together and what might be underneath those archetypes. Sometimes those archetypes need something special. Sometimes they need to be more effective at directing the forces of creation, and sometimes they need clearing. Clearing is one of those specialties that you have, Anid. You want to speak into that? I'd love for you to give everybody a tip about working with their team around that.
Yes. Well, what I like to do in my sessions is I like to guide my participants in a meditation where we bring all of the guides in. And so I have them visualize something, whatever comes to them, so that they can tap into their intuition. So I have them visualize. So sometimes it's an archetype like a god or a goddess. Sometimes it's a color. Sometimes it's a whatever it is. And sometimes they don't want to come in. So then that's why once they tap in, like, or they can come in as a person or a personality trait, an archetype. So that way they can see where the disconnection is.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't know your type, then when all these archetypes come to the meeting, you're going to see where it is, where the alchemy needs to go.
Yeah,
So that's when I tune in to which ones need to work, which ones need to talk,
yeah,
which ones need to communicate, and we can work through it however it's led in the session, whatever the guides tell me to do, which element we need to
yeah,
work with, and stuff like
yeah,
that. So then when they leave, they have an alchemical experience of what it
yeah,
is. And then
yeah,
since they already have that communication, they can continue because the communication will continue after the session because you'll
yeah.
start to think about it and the communication will be open. And then that's how they learn how to tap into the energies.
Yeah, really, really, really important, that alchemical blending. And I started talking about this too with the difference, and I want to just go just a tiny bit deeper in this, the difference between directing the forces of creation and clearing with the forces of creation. So the forces of creation are earth, water, air, and fire. And these forces, and with spirit flowing through the whole matrix, each of these archetypes of the elements themselves divide into the three astrological archetypes of each one. And if you've been listening to this series, you know what that happens to be. But if you're brand new to this series, you may not know. Earth subdivides into Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Water subdivides into Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Air into Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, and then fire into Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Every single element has ways that you need to use it in creation. So I'm just going to take water for a second here. So, water, the way you use water in creation is by getting your water to hold the feeling of whatever it is you want to draw in. Now, you just heard Enid's story. She's got water as her communication style, and she's got two other waters. So, this is very, very, very important for her to manifest anything. She's got to be in feeling alignment with whatever it is. Now, that's the directing of the force of water in creation. But when it comes to clearing, Enid, give us some examples of what kinds of things need to be cleared with water.
I tried to clear a lot of limiting beliefs, self-doubt, self-trust, um, relationships, just a lot. And so I kind of use water in the outside realm also, not just my internal. I use the elements outside of me because they're alive. So going into the ocean
Yeah,
definitely cleans and always made me
yeah.
feel better. Um, Taking spiritual intentional baths, that helps.
Nice, nice.
Blessing my water,
Mm,
drinking a lot of water, but also, you can clear on any element. So even though I have all this water in my chart, I can also clear with other things because
yeah,
sometimes I need a different type of element. And what's beautiful about this work that even though you have a specific creation team, all of the archetypes are available for us to create and clear.
yeah,
So and if you use it during a timing of the sun and the moon, you match that with the planetary energies and you're going with the flow of the universe, you can definitely clear anything and manifest anything using these forces of creation, honoring them, having gratitude, working with them as an energy that is there to assist you. Because it's not
yeah,
just about taking either. We have to also acknowledge
yeah,
them
yeah, yeah,
for them
yeah,
to communicate with us. Because if not, we're just taking. So I honor the elemental forces that work with me too and that are within me because that's really important also.
yeah, yeah. It is, and it's so good that you gave a reminder of that, Anid. I mean, it's just super important. All right, as we're wrapping up, I mean, you've just given so many insights into working with this team. Is there anything that you want to say to people as we close?
I think it's really important at this time that we all tap into our inner gifts because if you look outside of us, it's chaos.
Yeah,
So we need to step into our sovereignty. We need to step into our own gifts so that we can navigate life with
yeah,
confidence
yeah.
and trust that we are guided on the right path. Because if we focus outside of ourselves, we're
Mm,
going to get entangled in the matrix. So
yeah,
we want to build a strong relationship with our guides, with our intuition, with ourselves so that we're able to navigate life with confidence and be able to share that also. Because if you have a good vibration, you're going to
yeah.
exude a good vibration.
Yeah, yeah, lovely, lovely, lovely. Thank you for all your insights, all your guidance, all your wisdom on need. And everybody, yeah, reach out and connect with her, and we'll see you soon. Thanks again, Ani.